everybody. My name is Julie Owsik Ackerman. I am the Communications Manager and Legal Content Writer here at Lisi. Welcome to Behind the Bio, our new series. We're going to interview a different lawyer each month. And the idea started because I'm a lawyer and a creative writer, and I'm privileged to interview a lot of lawyers for my work. And as we're crafting the official bios and other pieces, I often get curious about what's the story behind that official bio. So we're going to interview some lawyers and find out some stories and share them with you all. And I'm really excited for our first guest, somebody I know pretty well. Jason Lisi is the founder of Lisi. He is a lawyer. He's an entrepreneur. He is a fellow grammar enthusiast. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you very much, Julie. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. As I said, I am lucky enough to know you a bit, but I'm very excited to dig into some more of the stories that, I haven't heard yet. So okay. I'm looking forward to this. Let's see. So yeah, we are going to talk about 3 turning points and then just have a little lighthearted questions at the end. But before we do that, would you just tell our audience what you do?
Sure. Well, I founded Legal Internet Solutions Incorporated in the late 90s and set up a lot of the systems and have developed a really good digital marketing team of people who have been in law firms, who have been lawyers. And what we do is we know the legal market backwards and forwards, and are really happy to provide high-end digital marketing services to lots of different firms. What I do is I hire great people and I get the heck out of their way. So that's working out pretty well. And I have a great team, you included, of course. And we are having a nice time, and best year ever last year, and very happy about that. So.
Great, thank you. Yes, I agree with everything you said.
I guess I also sign the checks, but
yeah, that's also very important. All right, so as I said, in this series, we're going to talk to different lawyers about turning points in their lives that led to where they are today. And so in advance of this, you had given me a few turning points to talk about. Mm-hmm. And the first one was getting your first computer, mm-hmm. which I'll let you decide if you want to say what year that was or not. But yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about getting that computer and why that was so important for you.
So just backtracking a little bit here, I am in my mid-50s. I'm 56 as of the date of this recording. And when I was a teenager, there were no personal computers. And then, I was a freshman in high school, and my mother, I was living in upstate New York at the time, and my mother said that she wanted to put me in a typing class, and a typing class in this high school in upstate New York. And so I'm a freshman, classes, awkward phase, which some people may say I haven't gotten out of yet. But anyway, the point is, so I'm, freshman, and all the other people in this typing class were the kind of senior girls who were maybe not going to go on to college, but be secretaries, receptionists, that type of a thing. So all these senior girls and a little freshman, scrawny freshman guy. So I learned how to touch type. IBM Selectric with the ball and, heavy Cass, machine and everything. So I learned how to touch type. And why that goes to the next point is, like it or not, a good ability to type well makes your life so much easier in the business world. Mm-hmm. You don't have to rely on somebody else. You don't have to, think or hunt or peck or whatever to get your thoughts out of your head onto a screen. So fast forward to college, I wrote all my papers at the computer center. It was a time, 84 is when I entered college. It was a time when no one had computers in their room. I mean, I guess engineering students, but I went to liberal arts college, but maybe they had it, but not at the time. The Mac had just come out. And then I typed all my papers, and I could, and I think I actually got some better grades because, back then, the students would write, and I'm sure that doing that, got me some better grades. Anyway, went to college to study journalism, or came up with the idea of studying journalism while I was at college, and then decided to go to law school. And before I went to law school, my parents said, "Well, you can have a computer, so go out and find a computer." And I didn't know what kind to get. There was, 1988, didn't know what to do. And I was living in Delaware at the time, and I went to a computer warehouse, right? And I was doing all this studious research, this and, IBM computers, and all this is and I was talking with the manager at this computer place, and he said, I have a feeling about you. How about we sit you down in front of this Mac? And I said, oh, well, I don't know anything about these Macs and everything. Literally within 5 minutes of touching the keyboard and moving the mouse, my life had changed. I mean, it was that much of an epiphany, different from, and, you may not remember, but back in the day, most IBM computers were, or, they were called PC compatible, were DOS computers, and you would have to type in something to get to, Word Perfect or something like that, way back in the day. And this was just so much easier, so much. And yet I still went to law school. And literally in law school, I spent about a third of my time studying law and 2/3 of my time really interested in computers and the Mac operating system and this new thing, AOL, and you could connect with other people, you could find information, and it was fascinating. Just to show you that I don't listen to my inner voice, I went to law school again and got an LLM in tax from Villanova. And while I was there, anyway, I ended up getting a Mac SE, a terrific computer. Still have it to this day.
I was going to ask if you still have it. Yeah,
absolutely. Very sentimental about things. I spent so much time on it. So I ended up going to Villanova, and in 1992, getting my LLM in text. There was a group at Villanova Law School led by Hank Parrott and other folks there, Jim Mall, others, that had the Villanova Center for Information Law and Policy. And it was the first group, along with people at the University of Chicago and Cornell, working to put legal and U.S. government and law-oriented resources on this new thing called the World Wide Web. Right? Mm-hmm. And as soon as I saw the World Wide Web, and I saw it when it had its first 50 pages on it, and it was not command lined anymore like the old type thing. It was point, click, you go to this, you click on this, and you go to this. I said, that's cool. Again, not listening to my inner voice, decided to practice law. Right? 5 years of a legal education, you may.
It's understandable. Yeah.
Anyway, but all the time I was, so much more interested in seeing this new thing, the internet. Seeing this new way of communicating, getting information without having to, sit in a library and pull books down, and getting things that are instant and new and from other parts of. I remember one of the early things on the internet was, I think it was Cambridge or Oxford, I'm not really sure, but there was a teacher's lounge at one of those places, and they had a webcam on the coffee pot in the teacher's lounge, and you could see how much coffee had been, because it was glass coffee pot. You could see how much coffee had been consumed and was filled back up, and how much. I love stuff like that. Loved it. They had the Netscape, lobby, a fish tank, and you could see the fish swimming around. And to think that I'm sitting in, Rosemont, Pennsylvania, and seeing this in, Mountain View or San Francisco, it's just
Yeah.
so cool. So,
Yeah, I sometimes think about my kids who, are 11 and 3, and they've always, like, FaceTime has always been a thing for them.
mhm.
But for me, it still feels like it's like the Jetsons. Like, we can see the people we're talking to on the phone. What?
I mean, we're on an interview here, and we're probably a good 25 miles apart.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're one of the closer employees.
I know. Yeah. I want to talk about that when we get to
Yeah. So it's good.
Um,
Good.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I'm a little younger than you, but I lived through that, that same revolution. And, I wasn't a professional yet, but I could just really see, and I see this in you on a day-to-day basis, but I can really see how, that just really lit up something in you, this new technology. Like you really, for me, it was more like, oh, I could play games on this. That's cool. And then like, oh, I can, like it's just interesting to me that the things that we just respond to, like you just saw that and ran with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, when you, I would like to think that all my decisions up to this point were based on reasoned research and looking at, oh, well, this would be a good market to go into, and I'm going to develop this based on these metrics. And I said, no, I wanted to play with computers, and I really did. And it was a lot more fun than tax law. I mean, it sounds thrilling, but it's not quite as fun as some people think it is. So,
not as glamorous as we might think.
Yeah.
So let's get to that. Tell me about working as an associate and how that ended. Tell me about that.
Sure. Actually, a story I don't talk about very much. That's something you really want to broadcast. But so when I graduated from the LLM program and applying for jobs, still the economy was in a little bit of a recession. And I ended up picking up per diem jobs for different things and interviewing and carpet bombing resumes and everything like that. All that different type of thing. Fast forward to I got hired by a law firm, and it was a boutique tax firm, 6 lawyers. All of us had tax LLMs. We did, high-end tax work, mostly transactional stuff, but some other different types of things. A lot of estate planning, that type of thing. And boy, I got to tell you, I tried really hard. I would be the first one in, and I would be the last one to leave. And I was really, really trying hard. I think driven by some idea that you want to be a lawyer, and it was just unnatural for me. And there were 3 partners and 3 associates, and I was one of the associates. The 2 other associates had more experience than I did, and a lot of it seemed to just come so naturally to them. How to do this, and and we all had the same degree, that type of thing. And I kind of liken it, and I really, really tried. Lost 35 pounds for the stress, and wouldn't eat lunch. I would just work and everything like that, and I just couldn't get the spark in me that I enjoyed with this other thing. And I liken it to the idea of wanting to be a lawyer is I don't know if you go shoe shopping, right? And you find a shoe you really, really want, but it's a size and a half too small for you, and that's all they have. And you try and jam your foot into that shoe. I'll make it work somehow.
Right.
And then you find out your feet really hurt and you're just uncomfortable and this isn't for me and this isn't sustainable and everything like that. I would still be plying away at that job, trying to make it work all these years later. If the partner came in one day, this was just after Valentine's Day, 1996, and I remember it because he remarked that the girl I had started dating at the time, woman, we were in our late 20s, early 30s, had sent me 24 roses, for my desk, and he commented on that, and then turned to. We decided to take a different direction with your position. So it was my first real job as a lawyer. And, really, in a sense, my first real job, because I had gone from college to law school to LLM, and boom, I'm what am I, 26 or 25 or something like that, and I'm working for the first time, which is unnatural. Anyway, it's all, and that was a turning point because it really sort of broke through that this is not for you. This isn't your thing. And this is nothing against practicing lawyers. Some people are cut out for it, and some people are not cut out for it. There's all, linebackers are good at football, ballet stars are good at ballet, but they probably shouldn't do crossover. You know what I'm saying? So it is all. I've took me a little while to make peace with it, but I really made peace with it when that same firm came to my company to do their website for many years.
Wow!
And one of the partners could see the excitement and the everything in me and talking about this and what we could do for the firm and everything. I said, yeah, it sounds, yeah. And he said, sounds like you've really found your thing. And I said, yeah. And the thing is you guys knew it before I did. So it was, it's all good. And really, you think of, quote unquote, bad things happening. But that was one of the best things that ever happened to me because they kind of measured that it was this guy, very bright, very earnest, trying super hard because I wanted everything to be a success. Said this guy may be more linebacker than ballet star. So I'm not quite sure. Also, I noticed that there was going to be a need for what we do in the world here at Lisi, the digital marketing websites and everything, because on day one, I came to the firm and they discovered that I knew how to use the CD-ROM machine, the one where you had to have the separate little.
I remember that. Yep.
Thing. You put it in there and you put it in, and they said, we didn't know how to use that. It was like a Westlaw thing. And they said, you're the online research guy. Okay, great. It's just a CD-ROM. And, these partners and the other associates, all very brilliant people, didn't know how to use this type of thing. So I knew that there'd be somewhat of a bridge between those running law firms or involved with law firms and the tech world. Now, a lot of that has been closed up because there's now people in first year associate positions. They grew up with the iPhone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anyway, that was a interesting turning point. It's a one of several epiphanies that happened to me in my career. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh, I did not know that, and I was very interested to hear more about it. Reminds me of like if somebody, like the boyfriend that broke up with me, where I was, it was like devastating at the time. And then a couple of years later, you're like, oh, thank God. Thank God he broke up with me. That was never going to work.
Right.
Sometimes other people see it, before we do. So,
yeah. Well, the old joke is the worst day as an entrepreneur sure beats the best day practicing tax law. So, and again, no offense to any tax lawyers out there. Those who do it are smart and brilliant, and they are good with the rules. But boy, I'm having so much more fun now.
Well, and again, it just strikes me the following your passion, like, you clearly have this and have from the beginning had this passion for technology. So yeah, like I'm sure I know there are plenty of lawyers who like their passion has to do with, the area they're practicing and they follow that. And in your case, it took you in a different direction. But I, for one, am very glad it took you in that direction. It's been really, really part of my journey too. But it's not about me. So I want to hear about the third turning point, which is coming up with this idea for Lisi.
So after the separation from the firm, looked at several different positions, actually got an offer from the Lebanon County Public Defender's Office to be
Oh,
their
wow.
staff attorneys there. Talk about how my life would have changed at that point. But I had met a wonderful woman, the aforementioned two dozen flower sender,
Classy lady.
who is now my beautiful wife, Christine. And Lebanon County would have kind of taken me away from her, which was in Philadelphia. And it wasn't, I was educated as a tax lawyer, so public defender, but quite my speed. But hey, it sounded like it paid. So I thought that would be good. At the same time, I got an offer from a publishing company that published tax seminars. And tax seminars mostly for continuing professional education for accountants, but they did have CLE credits in certain states. And they hired me as the editor, the editor of all the books. And it was really kind of neat because I was co-editor of my college newspaper, and I was editor-in-chief of my law school newspaper and my journalism background. So this allowed me to edit all the seminar books using my journalism background, using my knowledge of the tax world and tax code and how to read all these different type of things. It was a great job. I like to say if they had required me to have played tennis, that would have just covered the whole in my whole
so but the only missing piece.
Yeah. So it was great. A great guy, Jack Sargent, and it was based in Devon at the time, Devon, Pennsylvania, and it was terrific. And I set up the entire style book. I wrote a style book for it. They found out I was very accomplished in computers. I helped them with their online product and everything. And then I had gotten married at the time, and I was living in Philadelphia, taking the train from here to Devon, because Devon has a station, and the office was right next to the station. I was taking a shower one day, and I was, still couldn't get out of my head, computers and all, World Wide Web, all this type of stuff. And then, I don't know if people know, I came up with I said to myself, websites for law firms. Yeah, what if we built a company that was just for law firms and websites? And then people might not have my last name, but the last name is right there, Lisi. And then I came up with Legal Internet Solutions Incorporated. And it was literally in that span of time. It was websites, Legal Internet Solutions Incorporated. At that point, I could hear God speaking to me, right? Finally it came through. You don't want to be an editor of books. You want to do this. And it was a major epiphany. And then it just, once you're bitten by that bug, it's very hard to get it out of your system. Very, very hard. So after a while and thinking about it, I talked with my wife, and she had a great job at University of Pennsylvania. She's a professional fundraiser. She said, want to start a business? Start a business. It's okay. I have a great job at Penn, great benefits, all that type of thing. And her father is an entrepreneur, so she kind of understands the gig. And that was that. And so luckily at that company, there were two people Sue and Rachel, who I told them about this idea, and they said, "Oh, well, we'd be happy to do some, initial work for you for free." And so we built our website for free, one designed it, one built it, and I've since taken care of them, since then. But and then I went around to some of the law firms with whom I had done per diem work. One in particular out in Valley Forge, and I said, "How about this? I have this idea for this company. We don't have any clients yet. How about I build you a website for free? And only if you like it, maybe you'll recommend and be a reference for us for other places." We built it. They had never had one before. It was very successful for them, and that turned into my first paying clients. I got recommended to that, and it also turned into our largest client for our first 5 years. So huge opportunity, and then just went from there. So
Wow.
it's great. So I recommend, every time you can, preferably once a day, take a shower, because then you have great ideas in the shower. It was
You never
really
know,
good.
life-changing thing might happen to you there.
I need to invent some way to write down my ideas in the shower.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really
Wow.
fun.
Wow, that's yeah, I had heard pieces of that, but not all of that story. That's
Yeah, and I will also say, I also completely recognize that I had support from a lot of people. My parents, my in-laws, my wife, people who I can't imagine doing this as a solo person, and if you're relying on the income at the startup for your, to eat. Um, but but yeah, I had a lot of support and a lot of very kind people giving advice, very kind people giving us business, and and also some internal grit that says, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. And so I think it was the same sort of attitude of really trying to make tax law work. Being a tax lawyer work, applied to an entrepreneurial thing, and it's paid off.
Well, and applying that grit applying the grit to the thing that you really love anyway just feels like a much better marriage,
So yeah, not every day is a gem, but a lot, most of them are, and it's so gratifying to be able to build something and work with great people like you. But also there are people in our company that were not married when they joined us, and have since gotten married, had children, bought houses, paid for their mortgage, paid for their are paying for private school education, all that different type of thing. And it's just really gratifying to say, that was just an idea in the shower one day, and now it's manifested itself into this. And so yeah, it's been really nice. So
yeah, it's been really fun for me to, I came in much later, probably 20 years after you had that idea. But it's been really fun for me to be a part of the growth of this awesome team too. So
yeah, it's fun.
All right. So one more question. I'm just looking at our time. Well, actually 2 more questions. A lot of people ask me about, many people now are remote, right? That didn't used to be, but I know that Lisi was remote even before I came on board actually in March of 2020. So weird timing, but you guys were already and had been remote for a while at that point. When did you do that, and how did that come about?
So the history of our physical offices basically goes, I started the company as people start, in the den, in whatever. But then we had our first child, and then our second child 18 months later, and then I started to have an employee, and with the nannies and the employee, and I was living in a townhouse in the Fittler Square area of of Philadelphia, and it just got a little too tight. So I got in my mind, we need to have offices. We need to have So we moved out to Center Square, an executive office complex, which was very good. Center Square is right where City Hall is. It's the clothespin building.
Oh, yeah.
And we had offices there, and I really enjoyed that because kind of like the peace and quiet and all that different type of thing. And then we moved, we sublet with a friend of mine from a city club I'm in. He had a law firm and had 2-3 extra offices, and we stopped there and went there. When that lease ended and they were going to move somewhere, I was looking for office space. And like virtually the second I had signed the lease for this office space in 123 South Broad, right on South Broad Street, the Duke and Duke building, for those of you who like trading places. But the second I signed it, my project manager walked in and put in her notice. Okay. So basically, the reason for actually having a Center City office kind of went out because, went out the window. And then I was sitting with a friend of mine, 2 friends of mine at our club, and I was just thinking, and one of them said, "What if we didn't have an office?" And I said, "Yeah," because at that, and this was 2009, and by that time, Dropbox had become a thing, Basecamp had become a thing, all these different online collaborative tools that were not a thing back in 2001 and 2002.
Right.
And that was it. And that is one of the best decisions I ever made. Apologies to all my commercial real estate brokers friends out there. But at this point, I had moved to Westchester, Pennsylvania. It was about a 55 minute either drive or even longer on the train with parking and everything like that. And I had 2 toddlers at the time, and I would leave before they'd wake up, and I'd have come back after they were kind of going off to bed and everything. It's just no way. And the remote systems were so much better at that point, and they just kept getting better. So yeah, and what it's done is it's allowed, it's availed me of very high quality people who just don't want, who have experience in law firms, who have probably gotten to senior positions and just don't want to make that commute, or just don't want to do the makeup and the dress and the office rigmarole type thing, and want to pick up their kids at the end of the day, or want to go to the midday play or something like that. I do too. I did it plenty of times. The school we send our kids to is right across the street. They're graduated now. They're both in college, but and it really one of the best decisions, and saved a ton of money.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize it was that long ago. That really is very early to go fully remote. You are a trailblazer in many ways. Really cool. Really? No, it's cool.
These decisions tend to, these decisions tend to kind of come by on an assembly line, and maybe I just take one. It's like,
I mean, it's been working out pretty well, I think. It seems.
Yeah.
All right. So the last question before the lightning round is, if you could give yourself a piece of advice, however old you were, 1996, when that partner came in and said, we're going in a different direction, what would you want to tell yourself back then from where you sit today?
Well, I would say take every scrap of money you have and put it into Apple stock. Okay.
If only.
Yeah. Which I actually did in 1998 when Steve Jobs came back into it, because I was one of these guys who followed the Apple news and followed this and everything. So I still have stock to this day.
Nice.
And its cost basis is probably around 10 cents a share, because it's split so many times and everything. And it's now, I think, about $134 today, $134. But anyway, what would I say then is that it will take time. You shouldn't just think you can just kind of handle that and not not feel any sort of ill feelings about it. It'll take time, but a lot of things in life that don't seem great at the time turn out to be for the best.
Yeah.
And a lot of, and the other thing I would say is the mind is so strange. The mind is such a strange thing. You can think of obstacles of why you can't do something almost as an excuse not to do that thing. Why wasn't I more open to entrepreneurism when I thought the idea up? I mean, thought up, when I first started touching computers. I basically had the idea for internet access. It wasn't solely my idea, but back in the late 90s or early 90s and late 80s, it was kind of tough to get onto the internet as a solo person, not within an educational institution. I could get on because I was part of Villanova Law School. I could have started a company, but you say, well, no, I need this, and I'm already doing this law thing, so I should follow that and everything. And if you can break the chains of those preconceived ideas and have the critical voice of, well, why can't you do something? In the company we have certain phrases we cannot say, and I've told you that, and one of them is in reaction to somebody's voicing an idea, it is forbidden to say, yeah, but the problem with that is.
Yeah.
It fosters sort of a negative, sort of heavy weighted blanket on the idea, and it also inhibits the person from ever bringing up an idea if it gets shot down immediately. And if you can do that to yourself, if you can think up an idea and not instantly think, oh, well, no, the problem with that is, or, oh, no, I can't do that because I'm held back by this or that type of thing. If you can break free from that, not an easy gig, not an easy trick to do, but if you can do that, boy, the human mind and the human body and the human energy is capable of incredible things.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to do just a couple of fun questions. I don't even know. I know I wrote all the questions, but I'm not sure which ones I'm going to pick. That's like the fun part for me.
I will be silently judging your grammar.
Okay, what is your favorite TV show?
Oh, well, of all time or of the currently running?
Let's say something you've seen recently.
Okay. Well, I'm going to leave aside news, okay, because I'm a news junkie, and if I don't watch the Today Show every morning, and that's not the deepest news analysis they're going to do, but if I don't get, I say to my wife, what if I woke up and the world had ended and I didn't know about it? So, yeah. So I have. So that's pretty good. Absolutely adored. Recently, I guess recently I've been watching. My wife and I watched The Morning Show.
Oh yeah.
Apple TV Plus. Really, really good. Jennifer Aniston completely took me by surprise in that. I mean, she is an incredible actress, and I only know of her I think I've seen 2 Friends episodes, something like that, and I only know of her in that early mid '90s sort of bubblegummy type thing. Her acting in this is it's stunning. It's stunning how good it is. So The Morning Show, and also with a hat tip to many of the people on our team. Of course, love Ted Lasso. Very good show. But I tend to like nonfiction stuff. So I just saw the Ken Burns documentary on the USA and the Holocaust. That was stunning. The almost everything Ken Burns puts out, I love. His thing about the Roosevelts, Teddy, Frank, and Eleanor. Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt. No, that's not recent, but that was just an incredibly crafted documentary. Very, very good. So yeah, that's news. A couple of these shows. I don't tend to like anything that's sort of like supernaturalist. I've never seen Game of Thrones. Never seen any of these Stranger Things or anything, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my cup of tea.
Not your cup of tea.
Right.
All right. Okay. Next question. What would you sing at karaoke night?
Wouldn't do that. But I'm pretty sure that it would be something from the Spice Girls.
That's amazing. Did not expect you to say that. All right, last question. What sound or noise do you hate?
So interesting you should say this, because I just went to an audiologist. You need to get your hearing tested, and over time, your ears go and everything like that. My dad has some hearing loss, mostly because he fought in artillery in Korea and that type of thing. But still, I can hear things like way away, and high different frequencies, and that bothers me a lot, and everything. So I have to many times put on some sort of background sound, either music without lyrics, or like brown noise or white noise or pink noise or something like that, or this type of thing. I would say sound I can't is the screeching together of styrofoam.
Oh, yeah. Oh, why is that so awful? I hate it too.
I've seen something about, some people liken those high-pitched sounds to, a evolutionary type thing, where I think when apes or monkeys are in danger, they screech at a very high level, and we're sort of pre-programmed. Of course, that I think that could be kind of just an academic making things up, but you know what I mean. The point is that I think we're programmed to not like those screechy noises. But yeah, it's not something I can do. So.
Wow. Thank you so much for being our first guest on Behind the Bio. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Can only go up from here. Yeah.
No. Where can people find you online, Jason?
Well, you can always contact us through the Legal Internet Solutions website. I'm not a prolific poster to social media. My wife is. In fact, many times people say, "Oh, I see that you just ran in this race." And I said, "Did you?" He said, "Yeah, your wife posted it." Anyway, contact us through the website. You can get to my email. Of course, I'm on LinkedIn. I do a lot of interacting there, and I'm very happy to talk with people, especially entrepreneur people who may be thinking about doing something, or maybe in the early stages. Happy to give advice. I've made a ton of mistakes and would be happy to help somebody not step on that same bear trap, So
thank you. All right. Take note, entrepreneurs. Jason is a great person to talk to.
Great.
Well, I hope you and everybody else will come back to meet the other fascinating lawyers I'm going to be talking to this year. I have somebody really interesting scheduled for next month that I hope works out. And next week, our Lisi podcast, One More Thing, will drop wherever you get your podcasts. And my next interview is scheduled for Friday, February 17th. So hope you all can join us then. Thank you so much, Jason.